is not something to suppress, but something to tend to. And when used wisely, Katu rasa is the taste that activates the system, clears the stuck, restores the self, and says it's safe to be powerful again. Hey everyone, welcome back to A Talk with G, the podcast where ancient medicine meets soul remembrance. I'm your host Gia, and we have arrived at episode 5 of our 6 Tastes in Ayurveda series. So far, we've tasted the soothing sweetness of Madura, the clarity of sour, the belonging of salt, each one offering nourishment, insight, and a deeper connection to our body and being. But today we're going to turn up the heat. We step into the bold, bright, catalytic realm of Katu, the pungent taste. This is the rasa of transformation, truth telling, courage, and sacred discomfort. Pungent doesn't tiptoe, it doesn't ask permission, it clears, it cuts, it moves. And if you've been feeling stuck, stagnant, or emotionally heavy, creatively blocked even, this is the taste that'll wake up your system and say, let's go, let's move, let's grow. So, if you're ready to break through the stagnation, reclaim your fire, and reconnect to the part of you that knows how to act with integrity and power, this episode is just for you. Now, grab a comfy seat, something warm to drink, and let's explore how this taste doesn't just spice up our food, it liberates our energy. When fire becomes the medicine of movement, in the language of Ayurveda, Katu is a pungent taste, is the rasa of sacred agitation. You see, where sweet holds, sour stirs, and salt binds, this taste, pungent, clears. It doesn't comfort you to stillness, it challenges you into motion. It is the taste of fire and air, the momentum, the spark in the cayenne, the sizzle in the mustard, the breathlessness heat in the fresh ginger. It hits your tongue, and your whole system knows something is shifting now. Katu is not here to coddle you, it's here to activate you, to release the stuck, to cut through the fog, to burn through the blockages in our digestion, our mind, our emotional body, so we can return to clarity and forward motion. Pungent is the most stimulating of the 6 tastes. It's hot, it's dry, it's sharp, it's penetrating. It activates our Agni and wakes up everything it touches. But this heat isn't meant to punish you, it's meant to purify you. It burns through the excess mucus, stagnant emotions, procrastination, and old identities and attachments that have now catified over time. Pungent is the taste of creative fire, truth telling, and energetic clarity. You see, it cuts through the illusion, not cruelly, but cleanly. When we're stuck, congested, or afraid to speak, this taste says, let's clear the space, let's reclaim your voice, let's move this energy right now. Katu isn't just the burning in the gut, also. It burns through the repression, hesitation, and emotional numbness. You see, it awakens the courage to speak up, the clarity to make a decision, the fire to move through once what was overwhelming. And another breath, this pungent taste is connected to our unexpressed anger, chronicle avoidance, the fear of being quote unquote too much, our suppressed creativity and frozen emotional response. So often we fear pungent, not because it harms us, because we've been taught to fear our own fire. But pungent says, your fire is not the problem, your suppression is. Ayurvedically, pungent has a powerful psychological role. You see, it stimulates our digestion, increases our circulation, clears ama, the toxins within us, mobilizes stagnant kapha, energizes the tissues, opens blocked channels in the mind and body. Energetically, it reignites our solar plex, our gut instinct, our power center. It invites us to come out of the spiritual bypass and to embody action, not to just dream the change, but to become it. Because this taste is not just a taste of subtleness, it's a taste of thrust hole, edges, and necessary endings. It is the flavor of transformation that says you are no longer who you were. It's time to live like it. Pungent will ask things of you. It will ask you to let go of what no longer is working. It will ask you to stop hiding behind indecisions. It will ask you to trust your inner fire, not fear it. And just like the spice that clears your sinuses, this rasa moves the parts of us that were stuck in freeze. The stagnant grief, the clumped up self doubt, the creativity trapped behind fear and judgment. You see, Katu touches all of it and asks us gently but firmly, are you ready to move? This is why this taste is not about comfort, it's about capacity. It doesn't soothe our symptoms, it burns down what caused them. And in a world where we're often rewarded for politeness over truth, this is the taste that brings you back to your wild, honest, active self. Air and fire, the alchemy of activation. In Ayurveda, as we know, each taste arises from a unique pairing of two of the five great elements. Pungent, or Katurasa, is made up of air and fire, Vayu and Agni, two of the most potent, volatile, and active forces of all of nature. These are not the elements of stillness or containment. These are the elements of motion, disruption, and transformation. And together, air and fire create a rasa that is light, hot, sharp, dry, expansive, and penetrating. And that is what gives pungent this unmistakable bite, the ability to cut through what's dull, stagnant, or stuck, and to set things in motion again. Agni brings heat, transformation, purification, drive, and boldness, illumination. Vayu brings movement, expansion, unpredictability, change, speed, lightness. Together, these elements create a taste that doesn't ask, it ignites. It doesn't hesitate. It moves us forward whether we're ready or not. That's why pungent is both the healer and the challenger. It clears ama, our toxic residue of undigested food, emotion, and experience. But it also stirs things up. It may bring up suppressed issues to the surface, but only to help us release them. This is a sacred fire, a fire that heals and not harms, air that inspires but not overwhelms. The taste of conscious change. The beautiful thing about this specific taste is that it pacifies our kapha. Our kappas are known as heavy, slow, cold, and moist. You see how kapha benefits most from pungent because its sharpness dries up excess moisture, stimulates digestion, and gets stagnant systems moving emotionally, and it helps the kapha shake off the passive over attachment. It revitalizes their energy and inspires action when it's been delayed. For Kapha, Pungent says, let's ignite this fire again. Let's break the pattern and let's reclaim the momentum. But for our Pitta and Vatas, this kind of aggravates you guys. You see, for Pitta, Pungent can come too hot. It fans the flames too much. It can add fuel to an already hot fire. It increases inflammation, irritability, and overdrive. Pungent should be used sparingly with Pitta types, especially in the hot weather or due to emotional stress. For Vata, our light and dry type, the mobile qualities of Katu can increase instability, and it can lead to dryness in the body, nervousness in the mind, and scattered energy in the system. You see, pungent can support a very small amount of Vata when paired with oil, grounding herbs, and moist foods, but left unchecked, it can create overwhelm. So, as we always say, we are not here to shame the taste, especially in Ayurveda. We're here to ask, what is my baseline today? Am I stuck or overstimulated? Do I need more fire or do I need more cool and content energy? Am I moving too fast or not moving at all? If you're sluggish, congested, or overattached, emotionally stuck in a pattern that no longer serves you, pungent is your medicine. If you're burnt out, inflamed, anxious, or reactive, pungent may be too much fire for your current state. In those moments, Ayurveda invites you to pair the flame with something soothing: oil, ghee, grounding foods, cooling herbs, breathworks, and loving presence. The key is conscious dosage because Katu isn't a flavor, it's a frequency, a wave of energy designed to help you move forward when you're ready to let go. Pungent is the taste of alchemy pressure. It's not here to punish, but to liberate. It doesn't coddle, but it clears. It doesn't slow you down, but it brings you back to your power. And when you honor the element behind it, you stop fearing your own intensity. You start learning how to work with your heart, not suppress it. You stop fearing change and start seeing it as a doorway to your next becoming. When fire becomes our ally and not our enemy, when received with presence and respect, this taste becomes much more than heat. becomes a force of nature within you. It's the spark that clears the fog, unfreezes fear, and reclaims your sacred will. We are often taught to fear our own fire. Don't be too intense. Don't rock the boat. Don't speak too loud. Don't feel too much. Don't want too deeply. But in Ayurveda, it's a different story. It tells us that our holy fire is not something to suppress, but something to tend to. And when used wisely, Katurasa is the taste that activates the system, clears the stuck, restores the self, and says it's safe to be powerful again. Pungent stimulates every fiery center process in our body. It wakes up our tissue, kindles our digestion, and clears out our stagnation, both physically and subtly. Increases the digestive enzymes, bile flow, and appetite, helping break down the heavy foods and move toxins out of the system, and our internal flame becomes cleaner. K2 dries up Kapha's melting sluggishness, breaking up the mucus and clearing the sinuses, lungs, lymphatic system. That's why spices like ginger, black pepper, and turmeric are key allies in the restoration and immune health. This rasa dilates our blood vessels, stimulates the heat, and encourages healthy circulation, warming cold limbs and awaking the extremities. It's a natural energizer. And most of all, it stimulates our nervous system. It sharpens alertness, enhances mental clarity. It could boost congestion, cut through brain fog, and increase responsiveness, especially in the moments of heaviness, sadness, or post meal. Now, we all know this. Where sweet holes and sour awakens, salt connects, pungent disrupts. And disruption can be liberating. Stuck emotions are often held into our tissue. We don't realize that. But this taste agitates the energy just enough to move it, to create a space for a new sensation, a new thought, a new possibility. It shakes us awake. K2 connects directly to our solar plex, our manipuri, and our throat chakra, Vishuddhari. When balanced, these centers allow for courage to speak, creative output, and truth without apology. Pungent says stop waiting for permission and start moving. It revives the motion, catalyzes bold choices, and supports reclaiming healthy anger. The kind that says no more, the kind that says I matter. And let's be honest, have you ever cried after eating something spicy? We all do. You see, that's K2 working on a subtle body, clears old grief, it cuts through confusion, and it opens up the pathways where emotions have been frozen, not to flood you, to free you. So when you wonder why some people can eat something a little more spicy than you and not have any tears, you might have to work on something there. We often fear pungent because it's intense, but that intensity is sacred. It is the heat that transforms raw food into nourishment, raw emotion into wisdom, raw experience into embodiment knowing. Used consciously, it can help us complete what we've been procrastinating, cut energetic cords with outdated habits or identities, make bold decisions from alignment instead of fear, speak up when silence has been our survival, and dance, sweat, and move until emotions metabolize into freedom. This taste is here to teach us how to move through life with velocity and integrity, not rush, not force, but momentum, ground in clarity, conviction, and internal fire. And just like all the rasas, pungent can and should be experienced off the plate. You can feel K2 when you break a sweat in an embodiment movement practice, when you speak a long held truth, trembling but clear. You breathe through discomfort and stay present. You journal on the edge of your growth and write the words you've been avoiding. You walk away from something that no longer matches your frequency. You cry not from sadness but from release. These are all forms of Katu. They do not numb you, they do not pacify you, they purify. This taste is not here to make you comfortable, it's here to make you conscious, to help you trust your gut, to act with purpose, to feel the heat of your own aliveness. And remember, I'm still here, I still matter, I'm ready now, and this is the beauty of the conscious fire. Not destruction, but transformation. Not pain, but presence. When fire burns instead of heals. That sounds kind of ironic, right? Because fire technically is supposed to burn. But with the taste and Katu directly, it can get very dangerous. not because it's bad, but because it's powerful. In its conscious form, pungent is a sacred fire. It warms, it awakens, and it clears the fog. It creates movement where there was stagnation, truth where there was silence. But like any fire, without boundaries, without reverence, without right timing, it scorches. It burns through the wrong layers. It leaves us depleted instead of empowered, and instead of healing, it harms. This rasa is the most stimulating. And when used unconsciously in food, behavior, emotion, speech, it creates heat without nourishment and speed without direction. So often, when we feel overwhelmed, stuck, or invisible, we turn to fire to feel something. We reach for spicy food, fiery words, and bold moves, not to create clarity, but to momentarily escape the discomforts of stillness. But unexamined fire can be compulsion. It becomes a mask we wear to avoid the deeper question: what am I trying to move, before I actually sat with it? Let's take a moment and explore the undercurrents of this often driven imbalancement within this rasa. Number one, urgency of addiction, mistaking movement for meaning. We can use an action to avoid emotion. We chase productively to feel worthy. We confuse being the busy bee with being brave. Number two, reactive expression, truth without timing. We speak before we feel. We lash out instead of listening inward. We mistake our rawness for authenticity, but we forget that sacred truth is often whispered, not shouted. Hyper independence. I'll do it myself. I don't need anyone. That fire is turned into armor. When softness feels unsafe, we lead with heat. We perform strength instead of allowing vulnerability to have a voice. And then we have unprocessed anger, fire that never finds its form. When anger is unacknowledged or misdirected, it becomes sarcasm, defensiveness, creates criticism, or burnout. It becomes heat with no container, fire with a ritual. And when pungent dominates in food, lifestyle, or emotional expression, the symptoms ripple through all levels of our being. Mentally and emotionally, it shows signs of irritability, being agitated, and restlessness, excess ambition, competitiveness, a tendency to overcorrect others, difficulty to slow down or stay still, speaking too quickly, loudly, or harshly, rage or panic beneath the surface, masked as quote unquote drive, and the burnout for constantly pushing through when you just need to sit down. Physically, it shows up as ulcers and heartburn, skin inflammation. You get rashes, acne, burning sensations, dryness in the throat or colon, joint pain, especially with heat or movement, excess sweating or overheating, burning in the eyes, headache, bleeding gums, insomnia or light, agitated sleep. This is what happens when fire loses its prayer, becomes pressure, it becomes inflammation, the body, thought, and spirit. Here's the deeper pattern. When we don't feel powerful, we feel force. When we don't feel seen, we shout. And when we don't feel safe, we burn bridges to stay in control. But fire without presence is just destruction, and fire without grounding is panic in disguise. This rasa is not meant to be lived in all day, every day. It's not your home, it's a catalyst. It's sacred energy meant to invoke, not indulge. Healing your relationship with this rasa means reclaiming your fire without letting it rule you. It's about learning to say, I choose to act, but I don't have to. I honor my anger, but I won't let it speak for my soul. I move with purpose, not because I'm scared to be still, but because I'm ready to transform. And when you're craving for that heat in your food, in your words, in your choices, pause and ask yourself, am I igniting or escaping? Is this my fire or is this my fear and flames? What actually needs to be cleared? What needs to be held with tenderness first? Consciousness of this rasa is a ritual. It is the fire you light without intention. It is what you use to burn away what no longer serves you, not burn yourself. Because the goal isn't to silence your heart, not to silence your heat, it's to give a holy purpose. Because your fire deserves a place to burn clean. Back to our $1,000,000 question: why is it so important to recognize this taste? Of all six tastes in Ayurveda, pungent is the one we tend to either glorify or suppress. We fear it because it moves fast. We overuse it because it moves things. But most of us were never taught how to honor it with consciousness, with reverence, and the right timing. Katu rasa is not your fire, not the one you perform with, not the one you burn out with, but the one you rise from deep within when you say, enough, remember who I am, let's clear this, let's move forward. To recognize pungent is to recognize your right to take up space, to make moves and to say no, to speak the truth, to stop waiting for conditions to be perfect before you act without courage. Pungent is a taste of completion, clarity, creative momentum, emotional honesty, and spiritual activation. It burns away the dead weight. It stirs the part of us that has been dormant. It helps us shed what's no longer ours and embody what is. But none of that can happen if you're afraid of your fire, or worse, if you don't even realize it's being suppressed. To ignore pungent is to stay stuck, stagnation, avoid hard conversations, over intellectualize over healing instead of feeling, postpone growth out of fear or discomfort, and settle for relationships or routine that drain your spirit. Ignoring this rasa is to say, I am not ready to be honest. I rather stay safe than sovereign, and love where you are no longer meant to play small with your power. When you recognize pungent, you begin to tell yourself the truth, not the soft version, not the bypass version, the clear one. The version that says, this isn't working. I deserve more. I am ready to change. You stop using your voice to perform or please. You speak to liberate. You speak to move energy. You speak because you trust your inner knowing more than outer approval. You stop shrinking or waiting for permission. You let the fire rise. You let it burn what's false and reveal what's true. You move differently. You act decisively. You trust your gut and you stop outsourcing clarity. You remember that you're not fragile, you're forged. And then you step into aligned action. Healing stops being hypothetical, it becomes lived, embodied, expressed. You realize that awareness without action is stagnation with a halo. This is why we must learn to recognize the pungent taste, not just for our food, but for our lives. In the moment when you said you've held too long, the decision that makes you shift your entire timeline, the movement that clears grief from your bones, it's in that clarity that comes from not thinking, but from acting. Because when fire is unnamed, it becomes rage, burnout, or shame. But when it's claimed, it becomes transformation. To know pungent is to know all parts of you that is ready right now. Not perfect, not healed, but presence, awake, and brave. So when the fire arises, whether it's in your belly, your breath, or your bones, don't run. Don't shame it. Don't smother it with distractions or delay. Pause and ask, what is this fire asking me to release? What's ready to move through me now? Am I willing to let this discomfort become my freedom? Because pungent isn't here to hurt you. It's here to liberate you, to burn what no longer aligned, and to really reveal that self has been waiting beneath the ash. You do not need to fear your power. You need to use it with presence. Let the fire move through, not over. I want to thank you guys so much for walking through the sacred fire of Katu with me. If this episode felt like a bit much or it stirred something sharp, hot, or sudden, that's not the sign that you did anything wrong. It's a sign that your body still knows how to respond to the truth. That's your spirit hasn't given up on clarity. That somewhere in you, a deep fire has been waiting to be acknowledged. We live in a world that often teaches us to silence the flame, to stay digestible, agreeable, and convenient. But this taste is here to say, let them feel your heat, let them see you move, and let them witness your transformation. Not to burn bridges, but to burn illusions. Not to destroy you, but destroy what no longer serves you. So as you move through the rest of the week, I invite you to sit with these questions. Where have I been avoiding discomfort, even though it's not where my growth lives? What truth wants to come through me, but has been waiting for the courage to speak? How can I move or act and speak from a place of clarity, not reaction? And when that fire arises in your belly, your chest, your throat, let it rise, not to consume you, but to liberate you. Let it burn with awareness, let it burn with purpose, let it burn with love. Can't wait to see you guys in the next episode. We'll be stepping into a different rasa, one less fiery, more winded, less movement, more stillness. Next week, we'll explore the bitter taste, Kapha, the rasa of deep detox, discernment, and subtle truth, spiritual clarity, the medicine that asks of nothing of you except your willingness to sit with what's real. Until then, may your fire be clear, may your movement be holy, and may your truth be a bridge, not a blade. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who's learning to honor their own inner flame. And tag me on A Talk Witchy. I love to witness how this rasa is moving through your world. Stay bold, stay awake, and stay grounded. Until next time.